So hello, I'm Ray and this is my polytunnel and vegetable garden. So today is Sunday the 15th. We're going to show you around the tunnel as a mid-June update. So let's see what we got going. So while everything in the allotment is doing really good and everything's being watered well because we've had a bit of rain, the polytunnel doesn't get watered. So we've still got to come down and give it a drink. So we're currently Sunday morning, it's 6:30 in the morning. It's a grey old day. This chap always frightens me. I know he's there, but he frightens me every time I see him. So let's have a look around the polytunnel. Well, it is a bit scary. He's doing a good job though, he's keeping the birds away. That's one of the main things. So anyway, let's go and have a look in this tunnel. So as we approach the tunnel, it's nice to see a bit of colour now. And the sunflowers are coming out. As you can see on this sunflower, there's going to be several coming up and down. Should be really nice to see. So let's have a look in this tunnel. The smell is lovely when you open this door, nice and fresh. So as we look in a overhead view, the tunnel is looking really green. So much going on. So, what do we have going in the tunnel? Let's go and have a look. I'll show you what we've got going. So as we enter the tunnel on the left, we have my flower garden. And this has been taken over by a few sunflowers. And these are the sunflowers for Nick Allotment Diary Sunflower Challenge in a bucket. So these are going good. And I will also show you this one here, which is going on storming now. It must be 4 foot, nearly coming up 5 foot nearly maybe. So that's storming on. So on the left here we have a marigold. We've got some lavender which come out into flower, but it's all been a bit droopy down this way. Not sure why he's drooping that way. And we got some more marigolds. This is our grape. We've had this for 2 years and planted it this year in the polytunnel. We've cut off the two leading stems to which they're trailing up a twine. And some of these lower branches probably need a bit of a prune. But if we look closely, there's some grapes. So we need to look into the goings on. One of the leaves has gone a bit yellow. So this is a note for myself, and the rest of this grape is attaching to the twine. They could really be twisted round, and the second one is catching up. But all in all, that's looking really good. And on the back of this bed, I've got a small narrow space of soil, and I wanted to do some peas. So I put this mesh down, and we put some alderman peas in, just as an experiment more than anything. And the peas, well, I think they're ready. So I take them home for our Sunday dinner. And behind the chair, I did plant some runners. And although they are there, they're slowly climbing up this pole. But there is some weeds in there too. And there's another runner coming up that side. So I may need to pay a bit more attention down there. But these peas, I know I mentioned peas, they've done really good. These were sown a lot later than the ones outside, and they've done really well. So a note for myself for next year, peas in the tunnel. Ideal. Ooh. So that's a good start. And as you go through my tunnel, this is completely as it is now. Just literally walked in, didn't come up yesterday as it's my partner's birthday. So behaved and stayed at home so we don't get in trouble. Anyway, so yeah, my polytunnel is as it is, straight and fresh, weeds as well. So let me look at the peppers and chilies. So it's actually nice to get my chair back. This is often being used as a shelf for seedlings, but it's actually nice just to sit in here, listen to the birds. So we've got a water butt next door. This is really handy. Saves walking in and out to do watering. And it takes a long time to empty this water butt, even with regular fills. And also the water will warm up during the hot days and keep the temperature a bit higher. So that's a real bonus. So just beside that, we've got our peppers and chilies. And it does need a weed. And that's a wet rainy day job. So this is peppers, mixed sweet. We put 2 more runners at the back, just because they grew randomly and needed a home. And then the next 2 rows is chili and a home. They're doing really good now in the polytunnel. And even got some flowers, which are quite recent. The last row is raised chilies. And these were seeds sown from last year. And we just literally put the chili seeds into an egg tray and grew them on. And I'm really surprised how well they've done. And then what I'm really pleased about is the cucumbers. Look at these. We've got pretty good cucumbers growing on here. If you watched my previous video or even last year's video, take a look at last year compare that to this one and see what I did with the cucumbers. The cucumbers were in buckets last year and they were a bit of a disaster. Needed lots of water and they just dried out too quick. Also the pruning wasn't routinely done as we're doing now, and it just was not good. But look at that, those are coming home today, as well as a harvest of peas. So we have 3 different varieties of cucumber. The first one being Socrates, the next row being Emily, and the last one being Marketmore. Marketmore seems to be a bit of a brute. It's growing crazy. So we do need to check the runners, which will be a job I'll do later today. We're coming up this afternoon with the kids, so that'll be a job for the kids to do, especially if it's raining. So right next door, now I kind of underestimated the space for watermelons, and I could probably do with this whole bed really. But this is a lesson learned. But we do have our watermelon plants, and as a temporary measure I built up a trellis just for the watermelons to climb up, as they've got nowhere to go on the ground. So we've got 4 watermelons, and now they're sending off the runners and the tendrils. So these 2 plants are going to be growing upwards, and these 2 plants are going to be on the ground. So this plant is the one that we transplanted, and I've been reading now that they don't like being transplanted. So hence the reason it probably just stayed and not done anything as a sulk. But sillily, if sillily is a word, I put some sunflowers here, which probably isn't the best idea, but they look good. Just love the patterns and the colours of the watermelon leaves. So the next section in my polytunnel is melons. And we've got 2 kind of melons here. And I believe one is, really can't remember now, Emily. Although I've just thought that was a cucumber name. And if we look, we can see start of a forming of some melons. And this one is Tigger melon growing up the canes. So one thing to learn is to write my labels out clearer. Haven't we learnt that lesson yet? But they're doing really good. You can see the female, it's got a little bulbous thing before the flower. But we're really pleased that we managed to get some going. So in the central aisle we have our potatoes, and these are a mixture, and they are Charlotte, and they are international kidney, which we call Jersey potatoes, but we can't call them Jersey as we're not in Jersey, we're in the UK. But they're doing good, and normally should be ready in about 100 days. So we reckon towards the end of June we can do some potato reveals, and we look forward to that. And if there's any eagle-eyed viewers that have watched my channel for a while, then above my potatoes used to be my seed shelf. And one day, decidedly needing to pull the onions out, I needed somewhere to store them. So I took away my shelf, and I've had it across the bottom of the tunnel. And as you see, it is a mess, as it's still work in progress. But I also needed to get the onions out. So instead of this shelf being across here now, we've got it across the back. And this is the start of my winter project, and it's revamping the polytunnel. And I'm going to totally do a new design. So as you can see, it's a mess, but it's a working mess. So let me show you what we've got. We've got our onions that we dug up, and they're in storage, so they're drying off. And we've started some more seeds. Not being able to buy compost, we did all our seeds and that was it. But now I've just planted some calendula, and we planted, I can't remember what we planted, some more peas, and we've done some more runners. And also the tomatoes, these are buffalo horn, and these are big ones, big beef tomatoes, and these can be for the tomato challenge for the biggest tomato. And we've got a few random sweet sunflowers we've grown here, and we planted a squash. And this is a Patterson gadget, and it said harvest as litter in 55 days, and it's a green squash, so that'd be interesting. So while we went to B&Q, we bought this Erin multi-purpose compost. B&Q is a Home Depot store, as you might have in America, and apparently their compost was not the greatest, and I've used this Erin XL before, and some of my raised beds are made out of Erin compost. These work out about £4 something, 20 a bag, and it's 50 litres, and I thought that's quite reasonable. And the actual compost looks good, and it's 10 times better than the Asda multi-purpose compost, which was dry as old bones. So quite pleased with that. I'm now pleased that we've got a little seed starting shelves at the end. So as we can look round, it's given us a lot more space and possibly another bed to grow things. So I'm also thinking about growing vertically, and now I can grow vertical where the potatoes come from. So as we look back, we can look at the other way through the tunnel. So in the central aisle of the tunnel we have our bottle challenge, tomato bottle, and this was a cherry and it's actually doing okay. And we have a few random things still lying around the middle here. We've just got some cabbages, a couple of sunflowers, a couple of peppers. We've got some, these are some more eastern beefsteaks, tomatoes. These were from the seed swap, which were really old seeds, which we were quite pleased. And we've got a few flowers. And here is a quick update on the fuchsias that we did on the 21st of April, which seemed ages ago. Not sure if they actually look like fuchsias, to be honest. Well, anyway, we did some, I don't know, what do you reckon? Do they look like fuchsias? They don't look like fuchsias I got outside. Anyway, we did some flowers, and we did some lavender, some carnations, and something else. Sweet Williams. So they've been coming out steadily, and we've actually potted some of them up. So this is the carnations, and we've got some lavender at the back. And we've also planted some more marigolds. We've just done that, and we've got a random cabbage. So as a regular, you might know that I like experiments, and not knowing what else to put in my bed for the rest of the summer, I thought I'd try some brassicas. So I've got a brassica experiment. So let me show you what I'm doing down here. So on the back of my bed here, I've got 3 squashes, and these are petit pan squashes, and I intend them to grow up the netting, and then maybe over the top if they want to do that. So we're looking forward to that. And then the brassicas. So as a trial, this is where the board beans came from, and I'm doing 2 of each. So it's a bit like the arc. So we've got 2 kale, we've got 2, don't know what these are, 2 of something else. Then we've got 2 Cavallero Nero. Then we've got 2 Romesco cauliflowers. And then we've got 2 cauliflowers. And then right tucked in the corner, we've got 2 okras. But there is being taken over by some tomatoes. We do not need any more tomatoes. But this is the okra, and it'd be interesting to see if that grows, but we're not banking on that. So the other side of this, we've got 2 cucumbers, and these are market moors, and these are going to grow up the side of this frame. Was designated for the okra, but I'm not sure that's going to do anything. So this is the garlic bed, and the garlic has all fallen over, looking very sad for itself. So that's going to come out this afternoon and will be put on to dry. So next door we have some of the beans. These are the Chinese noodle beans, and they're going to go into the tunnel and grown on here. We've also got 2 lines of leeks, and we've got some, we don't know, Swede or turnip. This is our swede or turnip debate. We're not sure what it is. And then finally we got another tomato with the sunflowers. Coming up to the middle, we've got our tomato toppler, which actually is looking good. And there's fruit on there, so that's good. And then we've got our hanging bucket. And these are tomato tumblers, along with our flower pot in a basket. And there's quite a few fruit there now coming through. So these are looking really good. Another basket. So we've got a few of these hanging basket pots, and the fruits are looking good. So our shelf below, we still have a few things. We've got a Cavolo Nero. These are just spares. We've got some beans. These are for the veg in one bed. Just a couple of oddsies. Leeks. We've got a dead tomato plant there. That's not needed. We've got some more leeks. We've got the perlite and the vermiculite experiment. We brought that down to the Polytunnel. And don't mention tomatoes. And we've got our peppers. These are hot Thai peppers. These were a bit abandoned, so we've just potted these up into bigger pots. But it all needs the water. As I say, I've not been down since Friday, and we're now Sunday. It's everything we're going to drink before I go. So let you spin me round at the tomatoes. So tomatoes are doing great, and so are the marigolds. I know the marigolds are too crazy, but they're too nice to actually get rid of. And if they're doing a job, and maybe the tomatoes may suffer a bit, they'll be fine. So we start with Tigerella, and we look forward to seeing the Tigerella tomatoes. And they're shouting up big shoots now. And for some reason, Tigerella wanted a cauliflower or brassica to grow with it. And as we can see, the fruits now are hanging quite good, and they're really looking good. Next along here is the beefsteak. This is not getting a lot of attention as it's hidden away, but this is for Mrs. Green Thumb's giant tomato, so check her out. The smell coming from these marigolds is amazing. I'm not a fan of marigolds, to be honest, and at home they just get eaten, but here in the tunnel they're doing amazing. But I really don't know why they're growing 2 feet tall. Well, anyway, this is our tomatoes, and they're doing good. And I've just noticed something looking behind me. We've got some tomatoes turning red. Yay! So this is the start of the tomatoes. Great. So it's interesting making my videos. I was just looking back at last year and see what I did in the tunnel last year. It was very similar, to be honest. So I do need to do something different But if it works, I'll continue. But I'm really pleased. Really pleased. Wait, I just spotted. Hold on. That's already red. Yay. Hold on. Let's see, I'll have a look. We have a red tomato. We got a red one. So I'm really, really pleased about that. So as we walk down, look at the fruits now, that they're just pouring out. I believe this one's Alicante, and I do like Alicante. So as we scroll down, this is our parsnip, and it's gone to seed. But it's interesting because I wanted to let it grow, and now we can see the flowers that parsnip plant produces. It's really interesting, really pretty. So looking down, this is the basil. We grew some basil in between our tomatoes, and I've tried it in the trays, in the modules, and that never worked. So in the gap between the two tomatoes, we've got basil growing, as well as a weed. But the basil's looking good. These are the tomatoes from Joe, from Digging for Dinner, and these are Roma. And I've not pruned these, and they're looking a bit of a jungle. But I decided to plant some radishes in between. So the radishes have gone absolute crazy, and they need taking out because they're now taking over from the tomatoes, which is not a good idea. So the rest of these tomatoes are Alicante, and in between this one we did some spring onions. Wanted to maximise the space that we use in this tunnel, and this is why I want to experiment, and we're hoping to rearrange the tunnel layout next year. So I've got my plans, and I think we should do that. In between these two tomatoes, we planted some carrots, and the tops are looking good. We're not sure what exactly below. And we've got more tomatoes. These we're watering from below in the pots, in the bottles, where the first ones were done in the ringos down this end. But these Alicante were planted a lot later than the ones at the top, but they're slowly catching up. One thing the Alicantes did do last time was to grow really tall, but if they start producing the fruit, then we're happy. And in between these tomatoes we put raised chilli, so we wasn't sure whether this is a good idea or not. Probably not. And then we got Anaheim chilli in between these two, so it is getting a bit crowded. And we've also got another chilli or pepper spectrum, colour spectrum. This is pepper in between these. And then finally we had a few random chilli stroke peppers, and these are peppers, and we just potted them up and put them on this tray. The soil underneath here is, well, there isn't any soil, It's old tomato plants from last year that we tried to bulk up the beds with. So we've just put these pots down and they're coming up really good, just in pots. And finally at the end we've got some kale, and this is for the veg and one bed. So this is a tour of my polytunnel. So if anyone's wondering about getting a polytunnel, I definitely must recommend it. It's been so good, and even on wet days like today you can come in the polytunnel and still work, and there's still stuff to grow in here. So we're always experimenting and just seeing what's best. So hopefully harvesting the potatoes soon. We take some peas home now, we give it a good water, and we'll take up the garlic this afternoon when the kids come down. We'll do that and we'll put it on the shelves to dry. So thank you very much for watching, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I love reading the comments. I've had so many good comments, and I reply to them, and I'll even watch your channels that reply to me and watch my channel, and I really do appreciate that. And guess what? We're nearly reaching 1,000 subscribers, and we're really chuffed with that. Really chuffed. So before I leave, check out Facebook group Homegrown Vegetable Gardening UK, and here we get lots of posts, lots of information about growing vegetables in your garden or your allotment. So please check it out. I'll add a link above or a link below. Check it out in the description. Please join along, and we look forward to you joining our community on Facebook. Thank you very much. Cheers.